The sea stretched endlessly under a pale morning sky. Waves moved gently, but deep beneath, something mysterious waited. Mara, the leader of the expedition, stood at the edge of the research vessel, watching the horizon. Her team had been sailing for weeks, searching for signs of underwater ruins that no human had ever found. She felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They were about to make history. Inside the ship, her team prepared the submersibles. Nico, the engineer, checked the machines with careful hands. Lena, the navigator, studied the sonar screens, tracing unusual shapes on the ocean floor. Every now and then, a shadow passed by, disappearing before they could identify it. Mara took a deep breath. The readings were unlike anything she had seen before. Something large and artificial rested miles below the surface. "Are we ready?" Mara asked, her voice calm but full of anticipation. "We are," Nico replied. "Submersibles are fully charged. Life support systems are stable. We can go down." The team gathered in the small cockpit. The water outside grew darker as the submersibles descended. Light from the surface faded quickly, replaced by the deep blue of the unknown. Small fish swam past, curious but cautious. Mara's hands tightened around the controls. She felt a thrill as the ocean opened its secrets to them. Hours passed, and the ocean floor finally appeared below. Strange shapes moved in the shadows, not like any natural formation. Then, through the murky water, a glow appeared. It was faint at first, but it grew brighter as they approached. The submersibles hovered above a vast structure partially buried in sand and rock. Mara gasped. This is incredible," she whispered. The temple stretched wide and tall, its walls covered with carvings and glowing symbols. None of the team had ever seen anything like it. The designs were intricate, like a language from another time. The shapes hinted at stories, but no one could read them yet. Lena adjusted the submersible's cameras to get a closer look. "The architecture, it doesn't match any human style," she said. "It's old, very old, maybe thousands of years." The team carefully maneuvered closer, their lights revealing tall pillars and wide doorways. Fish swirled around the ruins, and the sand seemed to move as if alive. Mara could not stop staring. Something about the temple felt alive, as though it had been waiting for someone to arrive. Nico's voice broke the silence. "Sensors are picking up energy readings. There is something inside, but I can't tell what it is." Mara nodded. "We need to be careful. Whatever is in there, it has been undisturbed for centuries. We are guests here." The submersibles moved closer to the main entrance. A massive door, half buried in sand, blocked their path. Symbols covered the surface, glowing faintly as their lights touched them. Mara reached out, running her hand over the smooth stone. It felt cold, almost like metal. She pressed gently against one of the carvings. The temple responded with a low hum, as if acknowledging her presence. "Did you feel that?" Lena asked, her eyes wide. "Yes," Mara said. "It's alive in some way. We have to be ready for anything." The team spent hours observing the temple. They mapped its surface, noting every detail of the carvings, pillars, and energy readings. Each symbol seemed to tell a story, but the meaning was hidden. Mara felt a sense of connection, a strange feeling that humans had once known. This place dot as the submersibles hovered above. Mara looked out into the vast dark ocean. She imagined what lay inside the temple. Was it treasure, knowledge, or something more? She knew that their discovery could change everything humans understood about their past. Finally, she gave the order. "Tomorrow, we will enter. Tonight, we prepare. Rest, everyone. We start something no one else has ever seen." The team returned to the surface of the submersibles, their minds full of questions and excitement. Outside, the ocean was calm, reflecting the first light of evening. But deep below, the temple waited silently. It had been hidden for centuries, guarding its secrets. Mara felt a shiver of anticipation. Humanity had found it, but the temple had yet to reveal its mysteries. As night fell, the ship rocked gently on the waves. Stars appeared above, and the ocean glimmered under their light. Mara stood at the edge of the deck, thinking about the adventure ahead. She knew the journey would be dangerous, but the promise of discovery called to her stronger than fear. Somewhere beneath the waves, the temple held answers to questions humanity had not even thought to ask. And Mara knew with certainty that they were ready to find them. The next morning, the sun rose over the calm sea, painting the water gold. Mara stood on the deck, watching as the submersibles were prepared for the dive into the temple. The team moved with quiet focus, each person aware that they were about to enter a place no human had ever touched. Nico checked the engines one last time, and Lena studied the sonar maps carefully. The excitement was almost tangible. Ready to see history? Mara asked, smiling at her team. Ready, Nico replied. Adjusting his gloves, the submersible slipped into the water, descending slowly toward the temple. The ocean grew darker as they sank, the sunlight fading until only the glow from the temple lit the path ahead. The glow seemed warmer now, almost inviting. Mara felt a strange energy, as if the temple itself was alive and watching them. When they reached the ocean floor, the temple loomed larger than ever. Its massive door glowed faintly, and the carvings seemed to shimmer under the submersible's lights. Mara studied the symbols closely. Some looked like humans, while others had shapes she could not recognize. They told stories of beings that lived long before humans, creatures that were both strange and familiar. Lena guided the submersibles closer to the main entrance. The sand around the doorway had shifted slightly, forming small ridges. It looks like the temple is waiting for us, Lena said quietly. Mara nodded. Let's be careful, step by step. They approached the massive door. Mara reached out and pressed her hand against one of the glowing symbols. The door vibrated softly, and a faint hum echoed through the water. It was not loud, but it seemed to fill the minds of the team. Nico placed his hand next to hers, and the vibration grew stronger. The door responded to them as if it recognized their presence. Suddenly, the symbol shifted slightly, glowing brighter. A part of the door began to move, sliding open slowly. The temple welcomed them. Water flowed gently inside, but the submersibles held their shape. Mara felt a thrill of awe as they entered. Inside, the temple was larger than any building on land. Huge pillars reached toward the ceiling, and light from unknown sources glimmered across the walls. The carvings continued, showing humans in places they had never been, surrounded by machines and strange creatures. It was clear that these were not ordinary stories. They hinted at knowledge far beyond what humans had learned so far. The team moved carefully through the corridors. Each step seemed to echo, but the sound was soft, almost musical. Small currents of water shifted around them, as if guiding their path. Mara's eyes were drawn to a mural showing humans standing with beings that looked like a mix of metal and living flesh. The humans were pointing to the stars, and the beings seemed to nod in understanding. What do you think it means? Lena whispered. It means humans may have been more than we know, Mara said. Maybe we were connected to this place before, or maybe it is showing what we could become. The corridors twisted and turned, leading the team deeper into the temple. They found doors sealed with strange mechanisms. Symbols on each door glowed faintly, responding to the submersible's presence. Nico studied them carefully. These are not simple locks, he said. They react to thought and movement. The temple wants us to think, not force our way in. Mara nodded. We need to pay attention. Every step matters. As they explored, They discovered chambers filled with objects they could not identify. Strange tools, glowing crystals, and devices that seemed to move without hands. Some floated in the water, defying gravity. The team examined them carefully, but the temple seemed to resist being fully understood. It was as if it was waiting for the right moment to reveal its secrets. After hours of careful exploration, Mara called the team together. "We need to map everything we have seen and rest for a while. Tomorrow, we will go deeper. The heart of the temple is still ahead." The submersibles moved to a larger chamber where they could stop safely. Mara looked around at her team. Each face reflected wonder and amazement. They had entered a world that was both ancient and alive. The ocean. Outside was silent, holding its secrets, but the temple had begun to share its story. Night came slowly over the ocean. The submersibles remained in place, their lights illuminating the temple's walls. Mara stared at the carvings one last time before closing her eyes. She felt a connection to the humans in the murals, a thread linking the past and the present. She realized that the temple was not just a building. It was a guardian of knowledge, waiting for humans to prove themselves worthy. Mara whispered softly, "We are here, and we will learn what you have to teach." The temple remained quiet, but the glow of its symbols seemed to pulse gently, as if acknowledging her words. Outside, the ocean waves continued their endless rhythm. Deep below, the lost temple waited, ready to reveal its mysteries to those who had the courage to seek them. The adventure was just beginning, and Mara knew that tomorrow would bring discoveries that no human had ever dreamed of. The team was ready to take the next step, to unlock the secrets of the lost temple beneath the ocean. The next morning, Mara and her team prepared to go deeper into the temple. The submersibles were ready, and the ocean was calm. A faint glow from the temple's walls lit the water outside, as if the structure itself encouraged them to continue. Mara felt a mix of excitement and caution. They were stepping into a place that held knowledge and power far beyond anything humans had seen before. Ready for the next step? Mara asked her team. "Yes," Nico replied, checking the instruments. One last time. Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the glowing symbols on the screens. Each symbol pulsed gently, as if alive. Mara knew that the temple was reacting to their presence. As the submersibles moved deeper into the corridors, the walls seemed to change. The carvings shifted slightly, showing new images. Humans walked with beings of strange shapes, pointing to stars and glowing objects. Mara could feel a story unfolding, one that connected the distant past to their present journey. Suddenly, the water around them began to shimmer. Light flowed along the walls, forming patterns that looked like maps of stars. Mara stared in wonder. "It is showing us something," she whispered. "These patterns, they are not random." Lena studied the display. "They look like constellations, but different from any we know. Perhaps the temple is teaching us how to read them." Nico touched one of the glowing symbols. A soft hum filled the water, vibrating through the submersibles. The lights in the chamber grew brighter, revealing a hidden doorway. Mara felt her heart race. The temple was opening more paths to them, responding to their curiosity and care. They entered the new chamber slowly. It was vast and circular, with a high ceiling that seemed to disappear into darkness. In the center, a platform floated slightly above the floor. On it rested an object glowing with soft light. It was a small, smooth sphere covered in symbols, similar to those on the walls. Mara approached it cautiously. "This must be important," she said. "It looks like it is waiting for us." As she reached out, the sphere reacted. Light spread across the floor, and the symbols on the walls began to move in patterns. Holographic images appeared, showing humans in different places, interacting with strange machines and alien beings. Mara could see humans learning, exploring, and creating alongside creatures she had never imagined. It is showing human potential, Lena said, her voice filled with awe. We could achieve so much if we learn from this place. The sphere pulsed again, sending waves of energy through the chamber. Mara felt a strange warmth, a connection to the images and symbols around her. The temple seemed to be alive, responding to thought and intention rather than force. Every movement, every choice mattered. Nico studied the instruments. The energy readings are off the charts. This is not just a relic. It is a living archive of knowledge, maybe even technology far beyond ours. Mara nodded. We must treat it with care. The temple has been here for centuries. It has waited for humans to come with respect and courage. Suddenly, the floor beneath the sphere shifted. A small staircase appeared, leading down into darkness. The team exchanged nervous glances. Mara took a deep breath and said, "We go together, step by step, nothing hasty." The submersibles moved closer, and the team began descending. The walls of the new corridor glowed softly, guiding their path. Strange shapes passed by, like shadows of beings that had lived here long ago. Mara felt a mix of fear and excitement, knowing they were uncovering secrets that humans had never known. As they reached the bottom, they found another chamber filled with strange devices. Some floated in the water, moving as if guided by invisible hands. Others hummed softly, emitting light that seemed to respond to their presence. Mara reached out carefully to touch one of the floating devices. It moved closer to her, aligning with her hand. The temple was teaching them to interact, not to take or destroy. This place is incredible, Lena said. It is alive, and it wants us to learn. Mara felt a sense of awe unlike anything she had ever experienced. The temple was more than stone and light. It was a teacher, a guide, and a guardian of knowledge. Humans were not merely explorers here. They were participants in a living story. Hours passed as the team studied the chamber, learning how to move the devices and understand the glowing symbols. Mara realized that the temple was giving them a gift. It was showing that humans had the potential to achieve greatness, to explore, and to connect with the unknown. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Mara looked back at the glowing sphere. It pulsed gently, as if acknowledging their understanding. "This is just the beginning," she whispered. "The temple has more to teach us." The submersibles rose slowly through the corridors, carrying the team toward the surface. The ocean outside was calm, but deep below, the temple remained alive. It had begun to share its secrets, but it was still a mystery waiting to be fully understood. Mara knew that their journey had only just begun, and that the temple's knowledge would change humanity forever. The ocean was calm above, but inside the temple, the air seemed to hum with energy. Mara and her team prepared to return to the chambers deeper below. After their discovery of the glowing sphere, everyone felt both excitement and caution. They knew the temple was alive, and it would only reveal its secrets to those who approached carefully. "Today, we go further," Mara said. Her voice was steady. "We follow the paths the temple shows us." "Yes," Lena replied, her eyes focused on the glowing symbols displayed on the submersible screens. Nico adjusted the lights and engines, making sure everything was ready. The submersibles descended slowly, moving along corridors that twisted and turned like the temple itself was alive. The walls pulsed with energy, and the carvings seemed to shift slightly when they passed, as if watching them. Mara could feel the weight of history and knowledge in the air. They reached a wide chamber that appeared to be a central hub. The floor was covered with strange symbols, glowing faintly. In the middle, a pedestal floated, holding a small crystal that emitted soft blue light. Mara approached it carefully. "This is new," she said. "It wasn't here before." The moment she touched the crystal, the symbols on the floor lit up. Light spread across the chamber, forming patterns like a maze. Mara realized the temple was creating a puzzle for them. "It wants us to solve something," Lena said. "We have to understand the pattern to move forward." Nico studied the glowing lines. "It is like a map. Every step has to be careful, or we might trigger something." Mara nodded. "We go together, one step at a time." The team carefully followed the paths of light. Each movement caused the symbols to shift, opening new routes while closing others. The temple was testing them, but it was not hostile. It wanted to see how they thought, how they worked together. As they moved deeper, the corridors became narrower, and strange energy waves passed through the water. The submersibles shook slightly, but the team stayed focused. Mara felt a thrill of discovery. The temple was alive in every way. It responded to thought, intention, and respect. Finally, they reached a door unlike any they had seen before. It was made of smooth stone, covered with symbols that glowed brighter than anywhere else. The energy readings were high. Nico checked the instruments. "This is powerful," he said. "It looks like it protects something important." Mara reached out carefully. The door responded to her touch, and the glowing symbols shifted into shapes that looked like keys. Each key represented a thought, an action, or a choice. Mara understood that this was a challenge. The temple wanted them to think, not force their way in. Lena guided them through the symbols. "We need to choose together. Every decision matters." Mara nodded. They focused, selecting the symbols in order, matching patterns they had seen in the previous chambers. The door vibrated softly and slowly began to open. A new chamber appeared, filled with golden light that reflected off the walls. Inside, the team saw something extraordinary. The walls were covered with murals that told stories of humans and strange beings working together, exploring stars and creating wonders. In the center floated a large crystal orb, glowing with energy. Mara felt a connection to it, as if it were alive. "This must be the heart of the temple," she whispered. "It holds knowledge and power beyond our understanding." As they approached the orb, the symbols on the walls pulsed with light. Images appeared, showing humans learning from the temple, gaining knowledge, and creating tools that could travel across the stars. Mara realized that the temple was not only a guardian, but also a teacher. It had been waiting for humans capable of understanding its lessons. Nico reached out carefully to the orb. Light flowed around his hand, but he did not feel pain. Instead, he felt understanding. The temple was giving them knowledge in a way they could grasp. Lena studied the murals. "It is showing us how humans and the temple can work together. Knowledge, respect, and curiosity are the keys." Mara nodded. "We must remember this. The temple will not give its secrets to those who act with greed or fear." The team spent hours observing and learning. Every symbol, every image offered a new insight. The temple was revealing pieces of its story, teaching them about energy, the stars, and ways of thinking that humans had forgotten. Mara realized that this was not just an adventure. It was a journey of growth, understanding, and discovery. As the submersibles prepared to return to the surface for rest, Mara looked back at the glowing orb. It pulsed gently, as if acknowledging their progress. The temple was alive, and it had begun to trust them. Outside, the ocean waves reflected the first light of evening. Mara felt a sense of calm and wonder. They had faced the first challenges and succeeded with respect and care. The temple's mysteries were still vast, but now they had a path forward. The journey was only beginning, and Mara knew that the next steps would take them even deeper into the secrets of the lost temple beneath the ocean. The team rested briefly on the submersibles, but the glow from the temple below called to them. Mara knew that they could not stop now. The temple had already shared some of its knowledge, but the heart of its secrets was still deeper, waiting to test their courage. "Are we ready?" Mara asked, her voice steady but full of excitement. "We are," Nico replied. Lena adjusted the instruments and checked the maps. The temple's corridors seemed alive, pulsing gently as if inviting them forward. The submersibles descended into a part of the temple that was darker and colder. The walls no longer glowed as brightly, and strange currents of water flowed through the passages. Mara felt a slight unease, but she reminded herself that this was part of the challenge. The temple was testing them. As they moved deeper, the corridors narrowed, and shadows formed along the walls. Strange shapes passed by, like echoes of beings that had lived here long ago. The team moved carefully, knowing that every choice mattered. Suddenly, the path split into 3 tunnels, each leading in a different direction. The symbols on the walls glowed faintly, giving no clear answer. Mara realized that this was a test of judgment. The temple wanted them to choose wisely. "We need to decide together," Mara said. "We cannot afford mistakes here." Lena studied the symbols. "Look at the patterns. One path seems to pulse gently, the other moves more rapidly, and the third is almost still." Nico thought for a moment. "I think the gentle path may be the safest. The temple is testing patience and observation." Mara nodded, and the team followed the gentle path. The corridor twisted and turned, leading them to a wide chamber filled with floating lights. Each light moved slowly, forming shapes that seemed almost alive. Mara realized that these were not just lights. They were part of the temple's test. As they entered, the lights began to move faster, forming barriers around the team. The submersibles shook slightly, and the water currents grew stronger. Mara felt a surge of energy in the chamber, and she knew that the temple was testing their courage and teamwork. "We must stay calm," Mara said. "Work together, and we will pass through." The team moved carefully, coordinating their movements to avoid the floating barriers. Every time they hesitated, the light shifted, forcing them to adjust. Mara felt her heart race, but she focused on the patterns, understanding the rhythm of the temple. Hours seemed to pass as they navigated the chamber. The barriers tested their patience and attention, but the team stayed united. Mara could feel the temple observing them, learning from their actions. Finally, the lights began to slow, forming a path forward. "We did it," Lena whispered, her eyes wide with amazement. Mara smiled. "The temple recognizes courage and unity. We are moving forward because we respected its tests." The path led to another chamber, larger than any they had seen before. The walls were covered with golden symbols that pulsed with energy. In the center floated a platform, holding a small crystal sphere similar to the one they had discovered earlier. This sphere glowed brighter, sending waves of light across the chamber. Mara approached it cautiously. The moment her hand touched the crystal, visions filled her mind. She saw humans exploring distant stars, learning from beings of great knowledge, and creating wonders beyond imagination. The temple was showing her what humans could achieve if they followed its teachings. "This is incredible," Lena said softly. "It is showing us a future where humans and the temple's knowledge work together." Nico studied the crystal. "It is giving us guidance. The temple is alive, and it wants us to understand, not just observe." Mara nodded. She realized that the challenges they had faced, the puzzles, the barriers, the choice of paths were all part of a larger lesson. The temple was teaching them patience, courage, and respect for knowledge. As they prepared to leave the chamber, the crystal pulsed gently, sending a warm glow through the water. Mara felt a sense of connection with the temple, as if it had accepted them as worthy students. Outside, the ocean was calm, reflecting the fading light from the surface. Mara looked at her team, feeling proud of their progress. They had faced tests, solved challenges, and discovered part of the temple's heart. The journey was far from over, but now they knew that courage, unity, and respect would guide them through the remaining mysteries. The submersibles moved slowly back to a safe chamber where the team could rest. Mara glanced at the glowing symbols on the walls. The temple had more to reveal, and they would be ready. The adventure had grown deeper and more dangerous, but the rewards were beyond imagination. Mara whispered softly, "We are learning. We are ready for what comes next." The temple pulsed gently, as if responding to her words. Deep below, the lost temple waited, alive and aware, ready to reveal its final secrets to those who proved themselves worthy. The journey was only halfway done, and Mara knew that the next steps would test them even more, challenging their minds and hearts in ways they could not yet imagine. Mara and her team rested briefly, but the glow from the deeper chambers called them onward. They knew the heart of the temple lay below, where the oldest knowledge waited. Each member felt a mix of excitement and caution. The temple had guided them this far, but now it would test their understanding and wisdom. "Are we prepared to go deeper?" Mara asked, her voice steady. "We are," Nico replied. Lena checked the instruments one last time. The submersibles moved slowly, guided by the faint pulsing of energy from below. The water was calm, but the temple felt alive, watching their every move. The corridors became narrower, twisting in ways that seemed impossible. Glowing symbols on the walls shifted constantly, showing images of stars, strange beings, and humans working together. Mara realized that the temple wanted them to observe carefully and think clearly before moving. Suddenly, the path opened into a vast chamber. The ceiling disappeared into darkness, and the walls glowed with golden light. In the center floated a massive crystal, larger than anything the team had seen before. It pulsed with energy that seemed almost alive, sending ripples through the water. "This must be the core of the temple," Mara whispered. Her heart raced. The energy here was stronger than anything she had ever felt. As they approached, the crystal projected images into the water around them. Mara saw humans exploring distant worlds, learning from advanced beings, and creating wonders that had only existed in imagination. The temple was showing them the possibilities of knowledge and cooperation. "It is incredible," Lena said softly. "It is teaching us what humans can achieve." Nico reached out carefully, and the crystal pulsed gently. Light filled the chamber, forming paths of energy that moved like rivers. Mara realized that these paths were lessons, guiding them through the temple's knowledge. "This is more than a challenge," Mara said. "It is teaching us how to think, how to create, and how to work together." The crystal pulsed again, and a hidden doorway opened in the wall. Beyond it lay a smaller chamber filled with floating symbols. Mara and her team moved closer, and the symbols shifted in response to their presence. Each symbol contained information about energy, stars, and life itself. The temple was giving them knowledge in a way that humans could understand. "We must be careful," Mara said. "The temple trusts us, and we cannot fail it." Lena studied the symbols. It is showing us patterns, formulas, and ideas that could help humanity advance safely. "We have to remember everything." Nico nodded. "This is not just about discovery. It is about responsibility. The temple is teaching us how to use knowledge wisely." As they moved through the chamber, the symbols began to connect, forming images of machines, devices, and tools that humans could build. Each design was paired with information about energy, nature, and harmony. Mara realized that the temple was not only giving them secrets, but also teaching them balance. Hours passed as they studied the chamber, learning from the floating symbols. Mara felt a sense of awe unlike anything before. The temple had opened its heart to them, showing what humans could achieve if they acted with care and wisdom. Finally, the crystal pulsed one last time, and the symbols arranged themselves into a single image. It was a map, showing pathways to distant stars, hidden energy sources, and locations where humans could expand their understanding of the universe. Mara understood that the temple had chosen them as messengers, guardians, and learners. "This is the greatest gift the temple could give," Mara said. "It is knowledge, guidance, and responsibility all in one." Lena smiled, her eyes reflecting the golden glow. "We have to remember everything and share it carefully. The temple trusts us with more than we ever imagined." Nico studied the final images. This is beyond technology. It is wisdom, and it can change humanity forever if we use it well. Mara looked at the massive crystal, feeling a deep connection to the temple. It had tested them, guided them, and now it had revealed its heart. She knew that their journey had prepared them for this moment. The knowledge they carried was powerful, but it demanded respect, patience, and courage. As they prepared to leave the chamber, the crystal pulsed softly, as if acknowledging their understanding. The temple had shared its most precious secrets, but Mara knew there was still more to learn. The journey had reached its peak, and the team was ready to take the wisdom back to the surface and to the world beyond the ocean. The submersibles rose slowly, carrying the team through the corridors they had already explored. The temple glowed gently around them, as if proud of their progress. Mara felt a mix of satisfaction and wonder. They had uncovered knowledge that could change the future, and the temple had trusted them to handle it wisely. Outside, the ocean reflected the fading light of day. Mara looked at her team and smiled. They had faced challenges, solved puzzles, and discovered the heart of the lost temple. Now, they carried its wisdom with them, ready to guide humanity toward a brighter, more harmonious future. Deep below, the temple remained alive, waiting silently. It had tested them, trusted them, and revealed its heart. The adventure was not over, but the team now understood what it meant to be worthy of the temple's knowledge. They had reached the core, and the lessons they learned would guide them forever. The team slowly ascended from the depths of the temple, their submersibles moving through the glowing corridors one last time. Mara felt a sense of accomplishment mixed with wonder. They had reached the heart of the lost temple and uncovered knowledge that could guide humanity for generations. As they approached the surface, the ocean seemed calmer, almost as if it knew their journey had succeeded. Light from above began to filter into the water, warming the team after the cold of the deep chambers. Mara looked at her companions. Lena's eyes reflected excitement and determination, and Nico's face showed pride and quiet awe. They had done what few humans had ever done. Once on the surface, the team climbed onto the research vessel. The golden light from the temple's crystal still lingered in their minds, shaping their thoughts and inspiring them. Mara felt the weight of responsibility. The knowledge they carried was powerful and could change the world, but only if used wisely. "We must record everything carefully," Mara said. "The temple trusted us, and we must honor that trust." Lena began logging every detail of the chamber and the symbols. Nico studied the maps and pathways that the crystal had shown them. Together, they organized the information so that it could be understood and applied safely. As the hours passed, Mara could feel the lessons of the temple still guiding her. Courage, patience, and unity had been tested in every step of their journey. Now, the final test was to share what they had learned responsibly. The temple's wisdom was not only about knowledge, but also about understanding how to live in harmony with the world. Mara stood at the edge of the vessel, looking at the calm ocean stretching endlessly. The waves reflected the fading colors of the sunset, reminding her of the light inside the temple. She thought about the lessons they had learned, the paths they had chosen, and the heart of the temple that had revealed itself to them. "This is only the beginning," she said quietly. "The knowledge we carry can help humanity grow, explore, and create. But we must always remember the temple's lessons." Suddenly, the water around the vessel shimmered, and golden lights appeared just below the surface. The team realized the temple was acknowledging their success. It had tested them, guided them, and now celebrated their understanding. Mara felt a deep connection with the ancient structure, as if it had become a silent mentor, watching over them and the future of humanity. Over the next days, the team carefully shared the knowledge with trusted scientists and leaders. They explained the principles of energy, harmony, and innovation that the temple had revealed. Each lesson emphasized respect for nature, the power of cooperation, and the responsibility that came with knowledge. Communities and researchers listened attentively. Slowly, the ideas from the temple began to influence the work of humans around the world. Clean energy projects advanced, environmental balance became a priority, and new ways of exploring the stars were designed using the temple's guidance. Mara realized that the lost temple beneath the ocean had not only shared secrets, but it also sparked hope for a brighter future. Despite the success, Mara and her team remained humble. They knew the temple's knowledge was vast, and they had only begun to understand it. The ocean below held more mysteries, and other chambers of the temple might still be hidden. Mara felt excitement knowing that their journey had not ended, but that they were part of a greater mission. One evening, Mara stood alone on the deck, gazing at the stars. The lessons of the temple echoed in her mind. Courage, patience, unity, and respect were now guiding principles for her life and work. She felt the presence of the temple in every wave, in every glow beneath the water, and in the calm of the night sky. Lena joined her quietly. "Do you think we are ready for what comes next?" she asked. Mara smiled. "Yes, the temple taught us to observe, to act with care, and to value knowledge. Whatever challenges come, we will face them together." Nico came up beside them, holding a small crystal from the temple. "It is not just a reminder of the temple," he said. "It is a promise. We will continue its work wisely and carefully." Together, they looked at the horizon, knowing that the adventure beneath the ocean had changed them forever. The lost temple had tested their courage, patience, and wisdom, and it shared knowledge that could reshape humanity's future. But most importantly, it had taught them the value of unity, respect, and responsibility. As night fell, the ocean glowed faintly under the moonlight. Mara felt a sense of peace, knowing that the temple's secrets were safe and that they had been chosen to carry its wisdom forward. Humanity had received a gift, and the team had learned lessons that could not be measured in words or numbers. Lost temple beneath the ocean remained there, hidden yet alive, waiting silently for those who were worthy to seek its knowledge. Mara and her team had completed their journey, but the temple's lessons would continue to guide them, shaping their choices, their discoveries, and their lives for years to come. And so, the adventure ended not with a final answer, but with a promise that courage, unity, and respect would light the path for humanity. Inspired by the lost temple beneath the ocean,